Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. It's like that.
Oh, good. Let's see. It shows the
Redirecting to Facebook Live. Let's see. Cross your fingers.
okay.
Okay. I think we're good.
Oh, good. So, hi, Michelle.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. I am here to interview you, and I am so glad I came across your profile, and you also connected with me, mainly because you have some information. I think a lot of my friends and people in my network really appreciate, and even me. Um, yeah, you
Even
are
you, yeah.
a special ed teacher, and you've been doing it for 23 years for mild to moderate learning challenges.
Yes,
um, so could you like give us like a description of what it's like in your classroom on an everyday basis?
absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I teach special ed in a mild to moderate setting. So, what that means is that I teach in SDC. There are lots of things along the spectrum of special ed. So your child can be in a general ed classroom all day. Your child can be in a general ed classroom, but being pulled out for extra help just in certain areas. That's called RSP. My students are in my class all day. So I have my own self contained classroom. I have roughly 12 students, depending on the year. And my students range in age from kindergarten up to third grade with a range of disabilities. So I have students who have very mild, just maybe a learning disability. But I also have students, this last year, I had a student who was deaf, had hearing aids in both ears, as well as some health issues. So you just never know. I have a grab bag of students of variety of different abilities and disabilities. So it's kind of a little melting pot, but I love it.
Okay. Wow, that sounds like quite a challenge because for somebody who's got, I'm a mom of three and I don't deal with other people's kids except for myself.
Yeah.
So that sounds really like overwhelming. So for parents, like, we've been home, the kids have been home since I think March, and
Yes.
now it's the whole summer. What do you think that parents should do to like better their mind and not like let it rot? And
Yeah.
what's your suggestion?
Well, one of the things I tell all of my parents, and I think that this goes for whether you teach, I mean, whether your child is typically developing or whether your child has some special needs. But for me, one of the key things is is reading, and I just don't think kids get read to enough. I really don't. I think when I was young, it was a treat. Every night, my mom would say, "Well, it's bedtime. 8 o'clock's bedtime. But if you want to read, you can stay up for a whole 30 more minutes." So it made reading kind of special and exciting. My mom always read to me, and then as I got older, I read to myself. So I think reading is just one of those things that bridges the gap, um, because it gives children a way and a place to explore other worlds and other realities and learn about new things. It enhances vocabulary, and it just gives children a broader base of understanding of the world.
Oh, thank you for the reinforcement because that's what our son's special ed teacher has been saying, and it's good to have another perspective on it. Now, I have to admit my guilt. I haven't been really like being forced, sorry, been on top of it. And so for kids who haven't been like read to in the evenings,
Mhm.
I find that my kids are resisting. What do you think I should do?
Well, I think one of the key things is to find something your child is excited about. So I've had parents over the years say, well, the only thing my son will read is a comic book. I don't care what it is. Read the comic book. So
Okay.
it's all about reading. It's not about what you're reading. So it doesn't have to be a biography or a history of the United States. It can be a comic book. You want to find what engages your child, what excites your child. So maybe your child really likes skateboarding. So my son did when he was younger, and he hated reading. So we would find books about skateboarders or about skateboarding, or football, or whatever it is that excites them. Find books about that topic. So if you get your child engaged from the topic, they're going to want to be they're more likely to get excited about the reading. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, thank you. I think I'll try it again with my kids and stuff. And so, like, I have a kid with ADHD, and the thing is, he's been prescribed with medication and it's like the lowest dosage ever. And he's got stomach aches from it, and like he's gonna be on medication for years. He's only in seventh grade, so he's got long ways to go.
Mhm.
What I know, you have dabbed into the holistic approach
Yeah,
of handling some of these medication, because it hasn't improved over the generations. Like, I'm just kind of disheartened.
I
Like,
know.
what?
And
Yes.
I agree with you. I am someone that has always had medication sensitivities.
Mhm.
So whenever there was something on the label that said might cause drowsiness or might cause nausea, I was always like, I had all the symptoms. So if it says maybe cause drowsiness, I was knocked out. So I've always just had to really be aware of what I take and what I put in my body. Always. I've always tended to go toward the more holistic. So acupuncture, chiropractic. I do Chinese herbs because my acupuncturist makes her own. So she would say, "Oh, you need an herb for this or an herb for that, or you have some digestion issues. Here, take this." So I've always been open to that. And I discovered a company about 2 years ago that has products that are absolutely unique. And they're all plant based. So no drugs, no interaction, no side effects. And we have found some startling and really exciting information about how that works on the brain of a child with ADHD and an adult with ADHD
Mhm.
and autism, among some other things. And we have seen really remarkable things happen when we activate our bodies and feed our bodies what they need to get them working properly. So I recommend to my parents, let you know, let's get away from the sugary food and the preservatives and the processed stuff. Let's get something more holistic and more natural, plant based, low caffeine, low sugar, all those things. Um, and really, we have found some pretty remarkable results.
Okay. So you've seen that in your classroom, and like
Mhm.
you a change, and then I assume like you're like, hey, what happened to your child?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so
Okay.
funny because parents think you don't know. So I have parents who have their kids are on medication for whatever, ADHD or whatever, and they'll stop giving it. And I'll call and say, really, Susie has been really off all week. And this is what I've noticed. And this is what she's doing. And they'll say, oh, well, we stopped her medication. We didn't think you'd notice. Or we were wondering whether you would notice. Like, really, parents, teachers, no. We are with your kids for 7.5 hours a day, and I know when something. I can tell. I literally can tell from the minute they walk in the door. Oh,
Oh, wow.
he has not had medication today. You can tell. So, what we noticed with the all natural um, products, the plant based stuff, is that I'm seeing the results like I would on medication,
Hmm.
calmer, more able to focus. Handwriting has improved. I have results, a handwriting sample like before the products and 30 days after the product, and you wouldn't even know the same kid wrote
Oh,
it.
wow.
It's unbelievable. So, seeing the same kinds of things that you would see on medication, but without all the harmful stuff, without the side effects, without any of the things that you get when you're on a stimulant every day.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. And you're have also created a new program, I believe, because I think I saw it on your
Yes,
Facebook page about dealing with kids during the summer. So, what are the 3 tips for homeschooling? And it might even go into September or next
I
school
know.
year.
I know it. Everything is so up in the air right now, and every state is kind of doing everything different. And I really decided about 2, 3 months ago I was going to do something with my quarantine. If I have to be home, I might as well make it count. I know there are parents out there struggling.
Hmm.
Now they're not only a worker and they're trying to do their own job from home, but they're having to be a teacher and they've never had to do that before.
Right.
So I've had parents reaching out like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't study to be a teacher. I don't know how to teach my kid to read. So I created a course for those people kind of to walk you through step by step. I would say the first tip that I would think would be the most important is create a workable schedule, one that works for you and one that works for your child. And I really feel like it's
Mm.
important in that schedule to schedule in breaks. So, and have it somewhere where your child can see it up on the wall where they typically do their schoolwork. I like to set up a classroom at home or an office. And you put the schedule up so they can see and they know what to expect. And you
Right.
schedule in, oh, I see 20 minutes here is I get to go play on my Nintendo or I get to go outside and ride my skateboard or whatever it is. Kids need breaks and you can't expect them to sit for an hour to 2 hours and not have that break. So schedules are important, scheduling breaks are important. And really, I think the third tip that I would tell all parents is you have to cut yourself a break and you have to cut your child a break. There are going to be days when you are frustrated and they are frustrated and they are melting down, and you have to know when to just punt. You have to know when to say, okay, we're going to take a breath and we're going to go do something else. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the park. Let's go outside and lay on the grass and talk. You have to know when your child really needs that because, especially right now with this quarantine, we're seeing a lot of mental health issues with children. They don't know what's going on, and all they know is they want to go back to their friends and their life and normal. And this is so not normal. And so you have to allow them to have those moments and be okay with it and not get frustrated with yourself or with them because they're melting down on the ground and they really need to finish that chapter. So you have to be able to just say, it's okay, we're not going to do this today. So
So you're getting responses from students and parents saying, "Hey, this can't be done because there's a meltdown."
yes, yes, I am for sure. I have parents who send me messages saying we didn't get all the work done, and I'm like, it's okay. It really is. And I think, especially if you have a child with special needs, but teachers are going to understand that there are issues,
Mhm.
and things come up and things happen. I understand. And to me, um, if you call me and tell me, hey, or email me and tell me, hey, this didn't get done because we were having
Mhm.
a really rough day,
Right.
you know, I think I think as long as you keep the lines of communication open between you and the teacher, you're good. I think teachers will understand.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I got the 3 tips just and condense
Yeah,
it. So the first one is to
make us
make a schedule and make it visible.
yes.
The second one was
Schedule breaks.
schedule breaks. Number third is just, just not be so hard
Yes.
on one
I
another.
really, the third one is, I mean, there's so many tips I could give, but the third one is I really think you need to cut yourself a break. Cut
Cut
yourself
yourself.
a break and cut your student a break, your child a break, because, we're all going through something unprecedented and they're going to have bad days just like you're going to have a bad day. And I think if you get so caught up in we have to get XYZ done today, sometimes you're going to miss a moment to maybe connect with your child. Sometimes you're going to miss a moment to give your child something that they really need, which is maybe not finishing the math page right now, but some time with mom.
Okay. So, what else do you think parents should know, especially now in the summer and uncertain future?
I think parents need to be really well aware that this is a struggle for their children as well. I think they need to be aware that your child needs to be a child. So they need to be able to go outside and play, um, and so making sure that you've scheduled that into your day. And I think you're going to have a happy, healthier child, and you're going to be happier because you're not going to have all the fighting. So
Right.
I think that's really key right now. Parents are really worried about what they lost over this time and doing distance learning, and I agree. I'm concerned about that as well. But we
Yeah.
have to take in the overall health and well-being of our child, and that includes mental health and well-being. So
Yeah, I mean, if mental health is not there, it's really hard to actually learn.
yeah,
And I'm gonna share a little bit about my experience, if you don't mind.
sure,
I think during the beginning of the lockdown, I basically said, 4 o'clock is screen off time. That's it. And I got a lot of resistance for a couple weeks, and the kids would fight and stuff like that. They still fight. But
yeah,
what I learned is that they're doing kid stuff now that they didn't do before. Like, I have a balcony, and so my kids go into my planter box and like pick up rocks and throw it on, on my balcony. It was like, yes, it's just like they're doing kid stuff.
yes.
Like they weren't doing things before, and they're wrestling and like piggyback riding. It's amazing. And so like we're like the loudest family in the block.
I love it. You
But
haven't met my family,
it
apparently.
was like I was like in the first month, I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired watching the kids at 4 o'clock. But it's gotten easier. And
Yeah,
so yes,
you're not the first person I've heard say that.
yeah, it did get easier, but it took a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so, yeah, definitely concerned about what we're losing. And for a while, I was thinking, why? I'm glad the whole world is like this. Everybody's losing out, but I
Yes,
know you're,
everybody is losing out, and you know what? As a teacher, I I have to say I was really worried about my students. My
mhm.
own children are older. I've got kids in their 30s, and my youngest is 18. I was sad because she missed the end of her senior year,
Oh,
but um, I was worried about my students because there was no way that I could make distance learning to be like it is in the classroom. Okay. There's just no way. I do small group instruction all day long. I don't do whole group anything, hardly ever, because of all the range of abilities and disabilities going on in my room. So for about the first 2 weeks, maybe, I really was stressed out. I was working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. because I just felt like I needed to get in one more thing. And I was really worried. I really was. And I ended up doing more whole group stuff because they really needed that. They were really sad. They missed their friends. They missed me. They miss our classroom. Um, one of my students, it was his birthday, and he said, "For my birthday, I just wish for no more COVID." And
oh
I
God.
hate it. I know. He said, he said, at first this was fun staying home, and now it just is boring. I don't like it. So they really want to come back and see their friends and see their teacher. And so I felt like nurturing that, and giving them what they need there was more important than anything else I could do. And at the end of the year, when I did all my testing, I found that they hadn't made the gains that I would have wanted them to have made. Most
Mhm.
of them, their goals, they kind of just were where they were when we left school, but they didn't lose. Um,
Oh, good.
they didn't lose a big chunk, so that made me feel better. I felt like this is such an unprecedented thing that they really needed some love from me. They really needed that mental health stuff from me. So I don't know. I
Oh,
think
wow.
that that's why I'm saying to you moms out there, to the parents out there, it's so important to give your kid that. Let them be kids. Give them time to be kids, and it's okay. You know?
Right. Yeah, they only get to be kid once.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for spending this valuable time. I know you're a busy person, so
that's
I
okay. I have loved this because I think this is a great way for people to have gotten to know both of us.
okay,
So
great. Thank you. Yeah.
I
And I would love
appreciate it.
to collaborate with you in the near future. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, have a great day.
You too. You take care.
Okay.
Okay, let's